Just quick introductions. I'm Kevin Ma, Director for Amazon Connect. I've been on the team largely since the beginning, since we first launched Amazon Connect a little over 8.5 years ago, and it's certainly been the best job and best experience of my life to get to take this business from nothing to being one of the fastest growing services in AWS history. And I saw recently in the Amazon earnings, we announced that we had achieved $1 billion run rate as a business, which is a massive personal milestone for me to be a part of that journey. I'm joined today by Corey and Matt, who are going to come up and talk and have way more interesting things to say to me about Traeger grills and customer experience. But I wanted to set a quick baseline today about what a great customer experience looks like. And I always struggle with this question, which is a weird thing to say considering the role that I'm in. But it's both a really hard question and a really easy question. If I polled the room, I'd get a bunch of stuff about personalization, efficiency, some intuitiveness, and kind of understanding, and all this stuff around like getting to know me and adding value. But what I find, like, it's also really easy because when you see it, you know it. And I'll give you an example. I booked a trip for my family to go to Asia probably about 6 months ago. I've been looking forward to this all year. I want my kids to see their grandparents. And I booked this trip, and it's seared into my brain for December 19th. And I was thinking it's the Friday before Christmas. The kids probably won't have much to school. Work will be chill. So I booked it, locked it in, flights, hotels, excursions, train tickets, the whole deal. Had it loaded, and that was the key date, December 19th. Then I find out, this is 5-ish weeks ago, that my son was singing in his school's Christmas concert. And guess what date it landed on? December 19th. That wasn't something I was willing to miss, and so suddenly I had to change everything. And first step, call the airline, is like, okay, I need a different flight. Can I move it like 12 hours? Can I move it the next day? What does that look like? And then I had to call the hotel, I had to change the train reservations, I had to change excursions. This was a pretty frustrating experience. And all of these things were awkward and difficult. Did I have to navigate cancellation fees? Did I move from some transferring agent who could do the cancellation and then someone else who could do the rebooking, and I had some stuff booked with the points? It was pretty awful, and I think any of us who are in technology can kind of understand, it doesn't have to be that hard. I wasn't doing anything super complicated. These systems should be able to understand each other. We could all look and see a great customer experience would be like, I just need to move it a day. Could you just figure this out for me? But I also think the realists in this room understand why it's not that easy. And so what happens is, oh, I pressed the wrong button, sorry. There's a gap. There's a gap between the customer experience that we all kind of understand and should be able to deliver and the thing that we can practically deliver. And so you look across this complexity, you've got internal systems, you've got siloed data architectures, I've got this private backend database that doesn't have an API next to it, I've got legacy tech debt, and suddenly mountains upon mountains of issues come in that prevent us from providing the amazing customer experience that I think we all intuitively understand. And as I kind of tackle this problem, this is probably the #1 question I get from executives and when I go visit customers. It's like, okay, I understand. I want to transform customer experience with AI, sprinkle some magic AI pixie dust on here and make it agentic and it's going to be awesome. Doesn't really work that way. And the question is like, how do we get started? What am I actually going to do to pull this off? And I typically have 3 pieces of advice. The first is something that we do a lot of at Amazon, and what we do is we start from the end. We call this process working backwards, and at Amazon, this process means we write a press release with a bunch of FAQs, and we date it multiple years down the line, and I say, this is what I'm gonna launch. And I keep that crystal clear locked in my mind. And what that does is, as I'm developing and as I'm adding new features, I never compromise because I always know what that crystal clear experience would be. And I always encourage customers to do that for themselves too. Think about what is this amazing customer experience you want to provide, write it down, lock it in, do not compromise. And that will allow you to kind of build your way to the end state there. And then my second piece of advice is if you can kind of put this down, articulate it, get it to a place where you like it, the next thing that you want to do is start to find ways to deliver incremental value. and you start looking, it's like, okay, I can't tackle the giant ocean of going from A to Z, but what are the ways that I can meaningfully change from A to B? And what are some incremental ways that I can add value? And certainly like demonstrate business value. It'll be kind of one of those CFO things like, okay, why are you guys migrating to Amazon Connect? What's my payback gonna be? How am I gonna shift from a cost center to a profit center? And it's kind of these common things that you get to make a migration or change in your technology stack make sense. And I think if you have the vision, you can start saying, these are the pieces, these are the steps that I'm gonna take to get there. So not only can I make meaningful incremental steps, I can articulate why they are accretive to a longer term vision. And then the third piece of advice, which is a really tough one, and I've only seen like the most forward-thinking CTOs kind of pull this off, is to get your data right. I think we all live and work in companies where the data is not in a place where we need it to be. We don't have the full context of our customers and their experiences and their interactions and the things they do on different parts of the website. And if you're looking ahead to the future where we have AI coming in and personalize things and helping you drive business outcomes, I think the way you're gonna do this effectively is with data. And if you kind of want to have this immense personalization, getting the underlying data infrastructure correct is one of those no-brainer investments. In the future the data is going to need to be structured and organized away if you're going to realize any of this AI value, that you kind of need to get up front and say, okay, I'm going to set up my underlying data, I'm going to set up the subsystems, I'm going to set up in a way that they can all interact with each other. And I think if you can do those things, you set this foundation to preparing yourselves for what is probably going to be one of the most fundamental transformations in our lifetimes. Jumping ahead to Amazon Connect, this is something where I feel this was just kind of the perfect timing and opportunity and the reason Amazon Connect came into existence. Like this was the mindset that we had when we first started this business, knowing that we were gonna need to power these kind of cross-business interactions and being able to have AI integrated. And honestly, like AI has been pretty good for a long time. It just hasn't been as adopted till we've had this kind of boom over the past few years where the LLMs and generative AI has really inspired people and lowered the barrier to entry to what they can do with AI. And Amazon Connect came in with this mindset from the beginning. One way that I like to think about Amazon Connect for some more tech-forward people is that at the end of the day, like we're an AWS service that's powered by a whole bunch of public APIs. And if I think of the Amazon Connect product, it's almost just an abstraction of a bunch of APIs. You could kind of rebuild Amazon Connect if you wanted to on top of the underlying APIs that we provide. And the reason that's important and empowering as part of this kind of agentic future is all of these APIs can now have MCP servers. All of them can be understood and talked to across a series of different AI agents. And it gives you this kind of foundation that lets you be ready for whatever AI is going to throw at you in the coming years, and it almost future-proofs your contact center today. And so I'll skip through the fun stuff. Lots of logos. We are growing like crazy. It's been an incredible and rewarding thing for me to get to be a part of this business. 12 billions of customer interactions analyzed with AI over the past year has just been an incredible amount of scale. We started as an internal contact center for Amazon over 15 years ago, and we've grown it to be something incredible today that I think has fundamentally disrupted what was almost a legacy kind of incumbent stodgy space. This other slide to kind of emphasize that point just shows how much we've grown. When I started this business, the #1 customer question I would get is like, how serious is Amazon really about the contact center? This is not your bread and butter. Like this is not something that we would have ever expected Amazon to get into. And that was something I had to prove constantly in the first 3 years of the business. Like I promise we're really in this, it's gonna be awesome. We might be feature light now, but we are investing and it is growing. And it's the thing that we know is great because it powers Amazon.com. I don't have to really defend that anymore. As you can kind of see by our growth, the amount of features we launch, how far we've come, we are very, very serious about this business. Not only from a higher up the stack application standpoint, but it has just become this foundational way that people think about applying AI to their business. We are one of the most kind of proven battle-tested applications of AI that is driving real results. And so as we get to Amazon Connect and its approach to AI, I like to think a little bit about this kind of spectrum between, this self-service where there's less humans involved, and on this side, there's more humans involved. The other question you get all the time is like, is AI gonna come and replace jobs? And am I gonna need less agents and less humans and interactions? And we've been at this for a while now, and I'm not really seeing that be the case. What we're seeing instead is humans are becoming way more capable than they have been before, and the value that the contact center provides is becoming much more than it ever has been. And one of these catchphrases that we're seeing a lot is the contact center shifting from the cost center to the profit center. Instead of being this awful bill that your COO has to pay each year, now they see it as an opportunity to drive revenue, to drive a better customer experience, and to drive the things in your brand that you want. And the great part is, like, we engage at all levels of this spectrum, and I think AI is going to supercharge these humans and these agents that you already have that are like embraced and well-versed in your business and can now do 10x the things that they ever could before. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about with AI and the way we've kind of approached it, we are seeing a bit of a sea change in our business where rather than kind of AI for AI's sake, what we're seeing is people are using AI to drive business outcomes. And some of the legacy contact center metrics that you might have thought of before, average handle time and longest contact in queue, things like that, still good, still meaningful, still valuable. But I see more and more companies now shifting to, what is the revenue conversion rate? How am I actually driving kind of top line or bottom line fundamental changes to my business? And what happens is it forces you to think of your contact center as more than just the contact center. It's this piece that kind of is the lifeblood and the heart of your business and allows you to extend what your contact center agents had been doing into other parts of your business and finding other ways to add value. And the other part of this kind of pipeline for AI that we're seeing is that what's happening is Amazon Connect is treating your human agents the same way that we treat the AI agents. It's the same set of tooling, it's the same set of software. And when you can kind of do it that way, I have this performance evaluation product that says, hey, let me see, was this agent empathetic? Did they solve the problem? Are they selling the right conversion rate and things like that? I can apply that exact same evaluation to an AI agent. And you start to get this pipeline where what you're learning from your human agents gets to be something that you can teach to your AI agents. And you start to build things that were more human involved into less human involved, and you're learning and building this flywheel for your data. And that data is eventually the thing that is driving the business outcomes. And at Amazon, we were founded on the idea of flywheels, and I think every contact center, every business here has the opportunity to use their data, use their customer experience to drive their own flywheels. And so enough about me kind of just talking the talk. I want to introduce an incredible customer who actually walks the walks and delivers an amazing customer experience. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corey Savory, and I am the Senior Vice President of Customer Experience for Traeger Grills. Anyone heard of Traeger? All right, great. It was a busy week for me last week. I'm sure you can imagine. Thanksgiving is the #1 cooking day of the year, and it was exceptionally busy this year with everyone cooking on their grills. I joined Traeger going over 6 years ago. At the time, I was living, when I got the call from Traeger, in the Boston area, which is where I'm originally from. I had moved back there after a considerable amount of time on the West Coast, working for companies like DirecTV, and moving out to the East Coast to take leadership of CX for a company called iRobot that makes cute, adorable little vacuums, little robot vacuums. And I was really happy. I was finally home. I was around people whose accents sounded like mine, and felt really, really good. And then I got this call from a company called Traeger. And what I loved about it is I had been a customer of Traeger for years. I bought my first Traeger grill when I was living in the Denver area. I assembled it myself. I reload that grill around the country from one state to another, all the way to Massachusetts. And I'd been in Tokyo on business. I was out visiting my team in the Tokyo area, came home, and on my back deck for Mother's Day was a brand new Ironwood 885, a connected Traeger grill. I'm gonna say it's the best grill. It's my absolute favorite. Trust the person that runs customer service. It's an amazing grill. And a week later, coincidence, I get a call from a recruiter asking me if I've ever heard of a company called Traeger. And they were looking for someone to come lead CX for Traeger, where it was pretty easy to convince me to move back to the West, to go work for such an amazing company. And the thing that really lured me in about working for Traeger wasn't just that I was familiar with the product, and I had been using it for over 10 years at the time, but because of the way that they described the state of customer service and customer experience at Traeger. There was no CX process. Customer experience as a concept didn't exist. They were strictly talking call center. They were strictly talking, we need to stand up customer service. The state of customer service was abysmal, and I thought that that sounded like the absolute best thing that I could have the opportunity to go tackle. So when I came to Traeger in September of 2019, with the global pandemic on the horizon that I had no idea about, what I walked into was a state where we had zero control over our technology. The only technology that Traeger had at the time was a CRM, designed by a team of people who I don't think ever once sat next to an agent or ever once walked into a contact center. Everything else, we relied on our BPO partners. Their IVR, their data, their reporting. They would report to us how they were performing. Sounds like a great situation. They actually told me that they had 85% CSAT and 80% first contact resolution. I knew that wasn't the case. And when I was able to stand up Amazon Connect in over a weekend, immediately having access to our own data and was able to baseline for the first time, what the reality was we were at a 35% CSAT and a 30% first contact resolution. But Amazon Connect, we were an early adopter. We got in super early and have been partnering with the Amazon Connect team from the beginning to help us design our customer experience infrastructure and technology and leverage it as a really robust ecosystem. So working with the Amazon Connect team over the last 6 years, we started small, right? We took on telephony. We were able to start taking calls, routing calls. We also stood up QuickSight. I love QuickSight. I tell everybody that is in the business how much QuickSight has really allowed me and my team to hone in on areas of opportunity in data visualization, and now with a lot of new features built in with AI, where you're able to have a conversation with your data. It's just great. We then adopted sentiment analysis, transcriptions, allowing us to start standing up a true customer experience ecosystem where now we can analyze our data, not just take calls, understand why people are calling us, understand why when we send a part on a particular grill for a particular reason it isn't fixing the issue, allowing us to start elevating issues coming through the call center to our product and engineering teams. That was very exciting at Traeger. Previous to that, customer service was seen as I said, the call center. And then this is really what enabled us to have a seat at the table and truly help the business understand what customer experience is, and how the data that we have should feed into product development and should feed into product roadmap and understanding customer experience. We've also launched chat. We've built video streaming for anyone who does technical troubleshooting in a call center. I will tell you, video streaming is a game changer. We're able to, through our Amazon Connect instance, send our customers a text message that you can click on The customer then, it activates the camera on the back of your smartphone, and streaming live to our agents' desktops, we can see exactly what the customer is seeing, not spend time asking 20 questions and trying to get the customer to explain in their words what they think is going on. Our agents can now see with their own eyes exactly what our customers are seeing, and that really helped us improve our first contact resolution. We've launched screen recording with Amazon Connect, also been a game changer in helping us understand process improvement opportunities. And then the end, phase 6 and 7, and whatever is beyond, I'm going to be talking to you today more later in my presentation about 2 things that we've been working on. One that I've coined as self-healing contact center, and the other is our single pane of glass instance where we're using generative AI.
All right, hey everybody, I'm Matt Richards. I'm a senior solutions architect at AWS, and I have the distinct pleasure of working with Corey and the team at Traeger, and I'm just here to hype Corey up and talk a little bit more about their evolving story here. So let's talk about what comes next after Corey spent this time building up a mature, modern customer experience organization. They recognized that there were still limitations in place, and most of these limitations were around the experience of the agents. As we have a lot of these conversations about a modern call center, a lot of the conversations center around how to make the agents more effective, how to let them have more efficient access to data, to resources, help them help the customer more efficiently. And what they recognize is that evolving their agent experience beyond what was in place was getting increasingly difficult. And that was mostly because of a lot of disparate user experiences for the various parts of their ecosystem. For instance, a lot of the customizations came in through customizing their CRM for doing things like case management and basic customer management. And the agent would have to go back and forth between their Amazon Connect experience for the live calls and the chats with their CRM to handle the casework. And because of these disparate experiences, the agent would constantly have to hop between many different screens. There was a lot of cognitive overload. It caused a lot of additional training time. And then adding on any additional customizations after that really took a lot of work and a lot of time. So these are the challenges that they were up against. They wanted to find the next step to make the agents more effective. And so this is where we get into Amazon Connect Cases. Connect Cases is an integrated feature of Amazon Connect that allows for agents to do customer issue work that may require more than one interaction with that customer. And the thing that this could really give was an integrated user experience for that agent where they could be in the Amazon Connect experience and handle every part of the life cycle of that customer interaction, that customer touch, without any additional screens to go to, without looking through manuals of what's the tool I need to go into to get this thing done. Makes the agents more effective. It gets the new agents onboarded much, much quicker, and they didn't have to spend a bunch of time customizing a legacy CRM, and everything could be a one-stop shop. And this was really, really huge for them. And it was also extremely important because Traeger had another big evolution in their company in the form of Meter. I'm going to pass it back to Corey to talk about this specific set of challenges.
Yeah, thanks. Anyone hear of Meter? M-E-A-T-E-R. All right, so in 2021, our world welcomed a new friend into the Traeger hood with our acquisition of a company called Meter, a wireless meat thermometer, intelligent meat thermometer. And we let them stand alone for years. They operated out of Leicester, England. They were very much keep at arm's length, let them operate on their own. And we let it go that way for years on end until last year. The beginning of last year, January of 2024, I was asked to take on customer service leadership for the Meter brand as well, and integrate Meter customer support into Traeger's customer support, into our contact centers. Well, we'd spent years building our tools and systems to work for Traeger, for how Traeger tools and systems work, how we do warranty claims on Traeger. And then within a matter of 4 months. We had to stand up a complete customer service organization to bring meter into the contact centers. Of course, that includes writing training, writing a knowledge base that didn't exist, and doing all of the additional prep work. But from a systems perspective, we were shoehorning meter into a system that was built for Traeger. And it was enough for us to limp along, but it was a very awkward agent experience when they take a call, and if it is a Traeger call, I have to handle it this way. If it's the same type of call but it's meter, I now have a whole different set of screens and a different way that they had to process support on the meter side, because we had to run really, really, really fast. We had a deadline for when the phone calls were going to start coming in, and we had to start taking on meter support. So now I have this system that wasn't too bad, that now isn't working exceptionally well at all for our agents, and adding additional cognitive load and stress and pain on them to have a second set of systems and our main CRM that isn't designed to be able to support meter. So that was another great opportunity. Just like I said, when I was super excited to come to Traeger, when I heard just how bad things were and what a great opportunity it is to build from the ground up, we had the choice to make, to say, do we take the time and the investment to go into our CRM and modify it and rework everything to do with making meter flow a lot better? Or do we leapfrog in technology to something modern that we can build from the beginning that has the right process flows and the right agent experience for both of our brands, and do so simultaneously? And that's what we opted to do. We wanted to evolve our experience in customer service. We didn't want to take a step back in any of the great work that we did with Traeger. We didn't want to lose a whole year of our innovation and the way that we move fast. To take the time to rebuild meter, we made the decision to move to Amazon Cases within Amazon Connect. We refer to it as single pane of glass because to our agents, they have the experience of a contact coming in based on the phone number called. We know if it's a Traeger interaction or a meter interaction. The account information pops. The agent is then just asked to pick a button. Is this about an order? Or is this a technical support interaction? If it's about an order, up pop the customer's orders. Is it one of these? If it's about a technical interaction, up pop the devices that are registered to the account, whether it's Traeger grills or meter probes. The agent can select it's about this one. If they have to register it, the agent can then enter the serial number and register a new product. We're also working with some modern AI technology and another partner on IVR bots and chat bots to assist us with handling some of that registration work offline from our agents. But what we wanted to focus on was not necessarily about trying to get contacts out of our call center. It wasn't about how to remove the customer from the agent. It's what Kevin was talking about. It's more about how do we make the job of the agent one that is easier, more streamlined, something where our agents are able to spend less time thinking about what screen to navigate to and what piece of information that they're looking to find, but that they can focus on the interaction. At Traeger, we talk about the Traegerhood. It's all over our advertising, but if you ever come to our office, you'll see that we live and breathe it. We have lunch together. Matt, I think, comes a lot for lunch to Salt Lake, to our office. But we do have a full culinary staff on site. They do all of our recipe testing and all of our recipe writing, and they cook delicious food for us every day, where we sit around a table. And we're really passionate about the Traegerhood. And the feeling that we want to give in customer service when you're speaking to an agent is as if you're talking to someone on your back deck. That feeling of a neighbor next door that you're helping, grilling, cooking with meter probes, cooking with our grills, is really about the emotional connection around food and around preparing food and sharing a meal with someone that you care about. Hopefully you don't have people at your table that you don't. But that's the feeling that we want to give when we talk to our customers in the Traeger hood. It isn't us trying to keep you from contacting us or having an organic interaction with our agents. We really want to focus on how do we make the job of the agent easier, faster, so that they can really lean in and spend that time creating an amazing relationship in the Traeger hood. So we deployed Amazon Cases, our single pane of glass solution, where all of the process flows, where agents would have to use a knowledge base that would tell them step 1, 2, 3, 4 of how to process this particular type of transaction. Now we don't need that anymore because the tool is so intuitive. As I said, the agent clicks on the button, this is what I want to do, and we've built it in a way that it is seamless to the agent what's happening on the back end. It doesn't matter which order management system is processing the order for Traeger versus meter. The agent just needs to tell single pane of glass what it is that they want to do, and we've built everything on the back end to be completely seamless for them to have to actually process any of the transactions. We built it in 4 to 5 months. We had a goal that we wanted to deploy in June of this year. We started working on it in about February, I think. February, we put requirements together. We documented our requirements in December, January. We started working on it in February. And we were up in 4 to 5 months with a complete build of this solution on top of our Amazon Connect instance. We deployed in June and July. We rolled to our contact centers and immediate removal of our old CRM, which was a huge cost savings for us from moving from a licensing model to the model with AWS where you're paying for data and not licensing. And that was also part of our deadline was we were about to hit renewal with our CRM in June and had to get out before the renewal hit. So a little bit of added pressure, but it was a very quick implementation timeline for something that really is a complete new CRM, essentially. But for us, the benefit is our agents had already been using Amazon Connect for years for interfacing with our telephony and our chats and sending those text messages and video streaming was all built within our Amazon Connect instance. So the tool itself was familiar to our agents where we just provided them this new experience. And what that led to was a 40% reduction in training for new hires. Our path to proficiency is light speed now. When bringing somebody in off the street, now we have to train them, of course, on how our products work, how a grill works, how a meter probe functions. But we were able to carve out over a week of training that was based specifically on how to navigate this CRM and how to process transactions, because the actual processing, as I said, of the transactions is removed from our agents. And what we're finding is agents who we brought in and trained only knowing single pane of glass as an experience outperform tenured agents within hitting the floor in nesting period. And we also have seen a bump in our agent satisfaction as well. We operate in the 92 to 93% top box CSAT, and this has allowed our agents to improve our scores around connection and relationship building with our customers on the phone because they don't have to spend the time focused on what they're doing in their tools and how to do it. There's our Traeger hood. That looks really good. All right, so what are some of the other benefits of our single pane of glass instance? It's not just about the workflows that have been built in. It's also AI-generated case notes and emails. So the time that it takes agents to type what happened on an interaction, what they did, to leave notes for the next agent, our agents don't do that anymore. The AI that is present within the interactions is doing all of the case summaries and leaving case notes on single pane of glass for the next agent. So the time it takes to do that as well as emails. If you're a Traeger customer, anytime you contact us, we will follow up that interaction with an email to you with important information that you need to know. It would take time for our agents to generate those emails. And because we didn't use templates, we wanted everything to feel Traegerhood and very familiar. I will tell you our agentic email bot is a lot better at writing emails than our agents ever were. And I think that it's also important to note that due to budget constraints that I think that we all feel as a cost center and being asked consistently to optimize and reduce costs, we've moved our contact centers not just offshore, but really offshore. We are in Cairo, Egypt now, and we are in Johannesburg, native English speakers in Johannesburg, but certainly not in Cairo. And we've been in Costa Rica and Guatemala for a while. We found a lot of complexity in moving to Egypt with our agent base being native Arabic speakers, and that it would take them a long time to write notes to leave on the account, to write those emails, follow-ups to customers. And I think regardless of the location of where your contact centers are, one agent to another, the variability in how one agent takes notes versus another agent takes notes. Some you tell that agent you didn't need to spend a half an hour writing this book. Another agent, you might coach them that they could have added more context to the notes that they left. And because now we've left that to up to single pane of glass to our agentic bot that is working with us in Amazon cases, our agents don't have to do that anymore, and the consistency and variability is removed. Easy for anyone to understand, and as I said, I keep calling her a she because we have a bot we call Traegy. But anywho, whether it's Traegy or our Amazon Connect instance, the consistency, the tone, and the way that we can train how to write these is really providing, in my opinion, a really great customer experience. All right, a few other things. I mentioned this thing called self-healing contact center. Who's ever had a catastrophic event where maybe your website went down or your app crashed and all of a sudden unplanned for volume hits your contact center, right? You can staff as much as you can. You do your intervals. You know how many agents you need. But when something unexpected happens, it can topple a call center. And this happened to us a few times. I won't go into details, but what happens is your call center becomes flooded very, very quickly, right? And you scramble to maybe put a message at the top of your IVR saying, hey, if you're calling about the website being down, we know. Or if you're calling about the app crashing, we know. But by the time that you have identified the issue, that you have taken the time to put a message to your customers, they've missed it, they're in queue, and now you're buried. So what we worked with Amazon Connect, the AWS team on last year was this concept of self-healing, where the tool is smart enough to know how many agents I have working, what my handle time is, what the volume is coming in, and at what rate that I'm going to get buried. And at the rate that it sees that we're about to get to a point where we are never going to dig out of the debt hole that we are in, we turn off callbacks automatically. We stop offering them. We turn chat off to stop ghost chats from coming in. And we monitor it, and by we I mean the tool, not me. The tool monitors itself to the point where it knows I'm caught up again. It's okay, turn back on offering callbacks, turn back on some of these other functions. What we want to do is be able to deliver the best service that we can. But if you've ever been in a position where your customers have left the chat and you're just answering ghost chats all day and trying to find a customer at the other end of the line, and you've got hundreds of customers in queue, if your call center can note that itself and start to look for opportunities to reduce those, you continuing to build upon the problem. And then I also mentioned we are working with a partner on AI technologies in our chat and in our IVR. As I mentioned, her name is Traeger. We don't tell customers that. That's her name internally, and we love her. And she does a fantastic job. So we are doing things like, where's my order, and like trying to actually reduce those contacts from ever getting to agents. But what we found more successful and better fit for our philosophy on customer service in the Traeger hood is looking for non-value added work that we can have her do. Like you contact in, you're saying that you're having a technical problem with your device. She can say, I notice you don't have a registered product. Before I pass you to an agent, can I just take a moment and have you text me a picture of your serial number and I'll get that product registered for you. So trying to not be invasive with the customer, but also trying to strip away work that is non-value add for an agent to take the time for you to say an alphanumeric serial number that's 17 characters long. That takes time on a contact where we want our agents focused on other things. And we're seeing great success there and looking forward to continuing to work and develop. So as I wrap up what I have to share for today, the other thing that we absolutely love about working with Amazon Connect is that we can move fast. As I mentioned, we brought Amazon Connect up over the course of a weekend. The speed at which we can develop, where we're now, especially in single pane of glass, and we have no ties to any further development within our old CRM, we can move as fast as we can code, as opposed to the situation that we were in before. And thank you. Matt?
All right, well, we're going to get into the Q&A in a minute here. Before we do, want to do a quick plug. There's going to be a lot of really great conversation about Amazon Connect and other customer experience topics happening through the rest of the conference. You can see here there's 2 per day through the rest of the week. So if you want to spend your entire time immersing yourself in Amazon Connect and all the Amazon Connect things, plenty of opportunity. Take a picture, go to those sessions. They're all going to be wonderful.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk with you all today.
Thank you.